This is Ekaterina, and yeah, this looks really good. Um, some details you could add is like, kind of the molding along the edge here and along the ceiling there, and maybe some support brackets for the shelves. Maybe something on this wall like a picture, or you could have a little table with a, I don't know, vase on it or something. I don't know, it just looks a little blank there. The room is a bit sparse overall, and I imagine you're going to populate that with some more books on those shelves or some other items. Um, the camera angles looks good. Let's take a look in my. Okay. Um, the bookshelf looks nice. I think you're getting away with that well. Although it's a bit repetitive, um, you might want to do stuff like. So I could just do from this menu, edit, duplicate shading network, and let's clean this up. It's not doing a great job of that. Flip one of these. Let's make sure this new one's assigned. Right mouse click, assign material to selected. And we can use a place 2D texture. Offset might be an interesting way to vary these. I'm just going to select offset and then middle mouse drag, and I can select a different one, and I could repeat that for the other sets of books. I mean, it's not perfectly line up there, but you're pretty close. And then if I wanted to, I could change it further by changing the color a bit. I can adjust the color with a color correct if I want. So I can create a color correct node here, and just take this into there and take that out to there, and then I can do like a hue shift, maybe just keep it subtle. Might be too noticeable, but keep it subtle, and you can try to make it look like different books than it was, so it's just not totally repeating every time. So it might be hard to do that 6 times to make it believable, but you could have at least a couple of the shelves be this book image, and then maybe get some more images for books. You've got your paper man rig, that's really cool that you got that going. Is he working alright? Seems like he is. Oh, did you want to have it like that? I figured you'd want it to bend here. I think to do that you're going to have to add a lot more divisions through there, which I would think you would want that. But let me know. But I would say go back to the original file and add those divisions, and then bind it again and see if it's bending more the way you want. This character is looking really good. So yeah, overall it's good. I think just add some detail to the room, vary the books, fill up these shelves, add some more stuff to the walls, that kind of thing. Okay, next up is Vincent, and I think the wall's okay. Maybe something a little less bright and contrasty. Might choose a different material for this here, because it almost looks like the same color as the wall, or maybe darken it or something. This AAU thing, well, it's funny, it looks like it's been drawn with a mouse, and that's not a good thing, so I might kind of go over that. If you can get a hold of a tablet, maybe you'll make better lines, or just take your time and make lines that, right now it looks like it's drawn with a mouse, think about what maybe he drew it with. Maybe it was, spray paint, or was it, I don't know. That just also, those marks don't look that believable for what kind of utensil you'd have to paint something on the wall, So I might just lose that anyway. And yeah, I mean, it looks like you need a few more materials, like for the ball and chain and stuff. And this wood panel doesn't look too believable for the bed. I wouldn't think they'd have like a wood paneled bed in a jail cell, Thinking more materials like steel and concrete and stuff like that. And also maybe this patterned cover there. Maybe change that. I like the toilet paper roll.
What was that sound?
Okay, some good angles on this. It's nice to have the bars in the foreground. Let's take a look at the Maya file. Okay, here's the Maya file, and yeah, I was saying maybe you could, in fact, you might want to use that for the bed too. Let's take a look in the Hypershade. Just gonna clear this out and grab materials on selected object, and I might make this darker if we can, just so it's a little more contrasty with the wall. I think that kind of comes out a little bit better. And maybe let's take a look at the material. Probably not so much specular color. Maybe it's a bit shiny for that kind of metal. So, and then for this material, or that one, let's take a look at the Hypershade and clear this and map unselected objects. And for this one, I might see if we can get the contrast down a little bit. I don't know, I like it a little less contrasty. Maybe not too much of that offset, but a little bit. But then like I said, I might just get rid of the AAU thing. It's very distracting. It doesn't really look like it belongs. And then, yeah, I think get something on here and do something different with the bed. I'm just not buying this kind of sheet and that kind of wood in a jail cell personally. And get some materials on these guys and stuff like that. So, yeah, you might want to do something with the metal on the bars as well. So I think you've got some good detail in there. We've got a few textures started, but need more. And then the floor too. I don't know. I'm sort of not necessarily buying that floor. Maybe something more simple, like just a concrete floor. That's, I don't know. There's certain, maybe too bumpy and too. Maybe you want something with seams in it, of some kind, so they look like kind of slabs of concrete butted together. Or maybe the floor is painted. That seems more likely, actually, like painted concrete. Anyways, look at reference and try to get some stuff, and yeah, keep going. I think this looks really good, and it matches your design really well. A lot of nice painted details in there. The Maya file now. And yeah, this all looks really good. You were asking about the cloud, and the thing is, I've just never used Bifrost, so I would just have to research it from scratch, and I really don't know. So I might try to find a different way to do that. I'm getting some weird artifacts here. I might check the camera attributes here. If I increase the near clip plane, yeah, that seems to help some of that. I'm not sure what's going on with this bird. I wonder something about the file got messed up when you sent it or something. No, that doesn't look right. And just show all. Just wondering. What's going on with the boot? Should probably look back at the rig file. Something's sort of interpenetrating there, so I might check that out. Yeah, but I think the scene's overall looking good. It goes with your design. I think for the cloud, yeah, I've never used Bifrost, so you might try to do like model a surface and see if you can figure out how to do like a volume material of some kind in Arnold. I thought you had some alternative to using a cloud entirely. You might want to consider that. I just wouldn't want the cloud to slow you down too much, or yeah, maybe some volume material. Do research that. See if you can figure something out for Arnold. Doesn't look like you've referenced your rig in here, which so when I look at the reference editor, there's nothing there. So you should have a separate rig file and reference it into your scene rather than import it. So yeah, if you send me the rig file separately, I can see if I can troubleshoot the boot here. It might just be a weighting issue. We could try.
What leader do we need for our trash bag? I don't know when I bought the pedal bit.
So I think you don't have enough detail on the inside here. The number of edge loops on the inside should match the number of edge loops on the outside, or maybe it doesn't need to go down as far, but it's going to be hard to prevent this interpenetration if it doesn't have the same number of edge loops. So I might go back to the rig file, make sure it's in the original pose, delete history, add the edge loops, and rebind that, and it probably won't happen then. Other than that, I think this looks good. Just have to find a different way to do the cloud. And again, I think if you can build the cloud out of a surface and use a volume material, then you won't have as much difficulty in long render times. Next up is Natalie, and I think it looks okay. It's just a little sparse, and there's no textures on any of the surfaces. I would also argue that couch is kind of out of proportion small for the size of the character. Well, I suppose you could have a couch like that, but it's hard to imagine the back wouldn't go up higher, at least a little, compared to at least as high as the pillows there to support the back. And the shelves in the bookshelf look a bit thick too. And then if that's a window, I would add some window panes, maybe like an image for the outdoors, and get some textures on these surfaces. So yeah, the main thing is to kind of add detail, add some more props, put some textures on, use reference to get inspiration for things to add things like some molding. Like I said, the window pane separator is windowsill. Try to think about other things that might give this just a little bit more personality, like who is this character and why is he there, what kind of house is he, what kind of personality is. It's very sort of anonymous right now, so it's a good start, but keep. Next up is Elena, and it's looking good. I think that wall texture works okay. I'm guessing it's supposed to be like wallpaper. I think the checkered floor is, I don't know, it's just, for a bathroom, it feels like kind of awfully big checks. I think of bathrooms having more like a tile floor or something like that. Also, I think there's some proportion issues. For example, the height of the sink compared to his chest looks very, very high. I would expect this to be more down here, and then the mirror down as well. Maybe mirror kind of more the top, maybe just above the top of his head. Also, the toilet tank looks very, very large. So we'll work on the proportions a bit. You can use the character as kind of a measuring stick, and let's say, give him a height, call him 6 feet tall or 5 feet tall or whatever you want to choose, but then, you know, use that as sort of a measuring stick, and then say, okay, well, if he's that tall, well, how big is a toilet tank, and how wide is a toilet seat, and kind of do some measuring around to make sure things are accurate. Um, and then yeah, add some more detail, some molding, put in some windows, or you know. Also, it is a bit big for a bathroom. I wish my bathroom was that big. It just looks like there's a lot of open space, which is unusual for a bathroom. So, think about kind of making it a little bit more compact. Um, and yeah, keep going. Do we see all the images? Yeah, I got some metal texture on here, and get a handle on the toilet, and maybe get some of this mechanism behind here. Um, anyway, yeah, you got some photo reference to help give you some ideas and inspiration for some of the smaller details. Next up is Ariana, and yeah, it looks like you're sort of just getting started on this and have a ways to go. So, um, yeah, I'm not sure what your issues with texture is. Maybe just make sure you hit 6 for texture so that you're seeing your texture. I'll take a look at the file. Okay, here's the file. And just take a look at this real quick. There is some kind of projection texture on there. When I hit 6, I do see the texture, so maybe you're not hitting 6. I don't know why you're not seeing it, or maybe there's other surfaces it's not assigned to, but this is not, there's not much to go on here, so I guess I would just say keep going. Build a lot more of your scene. You don't have to use an image plane for the background. You could just put it on a regular plane if you want. If you're having trouble adjusting it, and yeah, if you want help modeling any particular thing, let me know, and I can demonstrate that. But really, I'd expect you to be a little further along at this point. Just looking at the rig file, it'd be good if you have your rig in a clean scene. Yeah, there's some severely broken stuff in here. So if you could send me the version of this without any other stuff in it, with the fit skeleton, I would go back to that step. But basically, what I would say, if I'm going to do anything to fix it, I would just go back to the fit skeleton stage, anyways. So if you have the version with the fit skeleton, and you can send that, I can kind of show you how to go forward from there. Otherwise, I would just want like a clean version of the model, and I'd build a fit skeleton from scratch and do it over again from that point, because there's some severely broken things in here. That they're sort of not something I would try to repair, like this hand not being connected, for example. And I don't know why these got crazy big. That's so strange. So make sure there's nothing else in your rig file besides your rig, and yeah. Yeah, send me a version before you build the rig, when you just have the fit skeleton, and we can take a look at that and go from there. The only other thing I'd say is that at this point, if you want to just use a character that's already rigged, I can give you the character from the lesson, and you can just work with that moving forward. So you have a working character. Um, just let me know. Okay. Okay, this is Shane. Yeah, I think you've got some nice surfaces and shapes here. I think what's missing is just smaller details. You know, use some reference. Think, it might be fun to look at something like either a sci-fi film or maybe something more realistic, like the interior of the International Space Station, and just gives you ideas of more equipment, more things that they might have on there. Touchpads, other technology, maybe pipes or cables, vents. There's all kinds of things. So I think that, in any spaceship, even an alien spaceship, I tend to think things, space would be at a premium, so they try to pack a lot of stuff in the space that they have. So, um, think about just adding more detail. And again, either use sci-fi or actual spaceships as a reference. I like the planet in the background. Let's look at some of the rig stuff you're having. So, you mentioned shoulder controllers. That's just a question of whether you're in IK mode or FK mode. So right now you're in IK mode, and if I grab this guy and switch it to FK by changing this to 0, now you can rotate the shoulder that way. So that's not an error with the rig, that's just whether you're in IK mode or FK mode, and these little blue pluses allow you to change that. You're saying something about the collar. Yeah, that does look a little weird. I'm wondering, seems like there's something went wrong with the neck somehow. It's pulled to the side, so something went a little berserk with that. I'm gonna open up the file. Okay, so I'm not seeing that neck issue here, which makes me think there's, I don't know, something happened when you imported it or after you imported it. So, maybe get rid of it from that file and reference it in and see if it happens again. Let me know. But other than that, this seems to be working all right. Oh, there's some weighting issues on this leg here. Might do something like take this, right mouse click, paint, skin cluster weights, and double click on the paint weights tool to get the tools. I'm going to pull it over here and just dock it on the side there. And what was it that was pulling on that? Was it this thing? Some arm joint is affecting it, it seems like. Arm, hand, or finger, or something like that. So, you could go either direction, but so that's his left arm. So I can just replace with a value of 0 flood and just kind of go down, flood, down, flood, down, and that should make it so I just was doing down and flood and down and flood, and that way it shouldn't, see how it's not affecting the leg. So I just made it so that none of those joints have any influence on that foot, and see if the foot's still working okay. Looks pretty good. Yeah, that looks alright. So your foot seems alright. Yeah, this rig seems okay from what I can tell. So let me know if you see any other problems with the rig. I think it's just something happened either during the import or after the import with the neck, but the neck here seems okay, right? Yeah, could use some, maybe a little bit more weighting on this. Maybe this could be weighted more to, let's say, oh, that's only on, okay, there's your problem right there. So there's no weight on like the neck or the anything. else, just the head. So that is going to be a problem. So what I would probably do is min. Yeah, it's not going to let me add any weight to the other joints. Did you only have the head selected when you bound it or something? Kind of seems that way. So I guess what I would do is use this thing and then select deform joints. Got the head selected. Actually, let's delete history off the head first. Edit delete by type history. That'll get rid of the current bind, and then select deform joints. And then skin, find skin options, selected joints. It doesn't really much matter because I'm going to have to probably weight it again anyways. Fine. And then already I can see the neck is doing a better job. Actually, the whole thing is not too bad. So you can just adjust the weights there, but that seems to pretty much solve it. And the other thing I didn't mention is get some textures on your environment. Next up is Yao Nan, and yeah, I think this is coming along. You get a texture on the ground. Look at the kind of the repeat on the wood. It looks like wood of something that would be much smaller, so I imagine this would repeat a lot more, be a lot denser. And look out for sort of the stretching you've got on the side of this wood. I like the brick. I think it looks pretty good. And yeah, I got some texture on here. You notice again this wood texture is sort of stretched on the side here, so maybe you need to UV map that differently. I like that I like the window frame you can see outside. I like the shelves. I think you need to populate it with more props. Yeah, same here. Okay. It looks like you turned in the Maya file, but as it mentions here in the submission directions, you know, choose file archive scene, which will create a zip file, and then you should upload that. So I can't see your scene with the textures if you just send me the my scene file. I need the you know, I need you to do the file archive scene thing, and that gives me all the texture images too. So there's not really that much to look at. I can look at the models, but I mostly wanted to show some stuff with the textures in there. So if you want me to look at that, make sure to do archive scene next time. Next up is Sharon, and yeah, interesting composition. It looks like sort of just solid colors on the surface, and I'm trying to get more of a texture. I would also stay away from colors that are quite so bright and saturated. Looks like you're already playing with some lights, which is good. I like the silhouetted look there. I think get a little more detail on things like the punching bag, you know, some bevel those edges and, you know, get a little shape to it, maybe put some seams on there and some other textures. I like that you have stuff like ventilation there, that's good. And yeah, same here, just more detail and real textures rather than just solid colors. And again, stay away from, you know, really saturated colors. You mentioned some stuff with the rig, you know, just let me know what the issues are and I can help you out. Let me know if you run into trouble. Next up is Lindsay, and yeah, this is looking pretty good. I'm not opposed to using an image like this, but I think that, you know, if you look at the whole image and you see that in the background, and that's got so much detail and so much texture because it's the actual photograph. I think the eye is sort of too much drawn to that because of just it's so different from everything else in the scene and has so much detail. And so I might try to, I don't know, try something different. And this is about the same idea. I like that you have this Maya on the screen, that's funny. I like the city in the background, it's cool. There's some detail in the chair here. Yeah, that's coming along. Good details in there. And oh yeah, you got your robot from this first module. That's a really good idea. Yeah, this one's working well, that image. But again, with the table, maybe look into getting some more detail there, look at some reference, see what you could add. Yeah, that looks good. I like how he's drawing on the paper. Alright, well, I think the environment's coming along. Just think about maybe changing the TV, what's on the TV. I'm assuming that's supposed to be a TV. Maybe swap it out with a painting or something that's a little more muted, a little more simple. And yeah, keep going. Good work.